How long has the jury been out? It's only been a half hour now.
If she's a 30-year-old woman and she's got a career and a family and children, she has to be the good mother. She's got to think about what that child's going to eat. Be the full-time wife, part-time counselor, doctoring, teaching, thoughtful, sexy, caring, there for the homework, good cook, activist and advocate, role model, driver and chauffeur, welcoming, gracious, and hospitable. And you've got to be intellectually stimulating. And she better be very good at cleaning and keeping up her house.
I have lived in Utah my entire life. It has always been a safe, beautiful, and clean place to live. All of the family seemed perfect, and everybody seemed happy, but one day this perfect veneer cracked. I discovered that every family is not perfect, even when they seem to be on the outside. I learned that Utah has the third highest rate of methamphetamine use in the nation, and the majority of users are women with children. I never knew before, and it started to make me think. It could be anyone I know.
We did a study in the Salt Lake County Jail, and it was called the Arrestee Drug Abuse Monitoring Study. We started to see this methamphetamine thing spiking, especially in the women. And at first we thought, no, this is just weird, there's something going on here. But we did this for about 2 years, saw it more and more. And when we sent our data in, we had no idea what was going on around the country. When we sent our data in to the federal government and they put it all together and they sent a report back, we were third in the country. But what somebody described it to me as is this: if you think that sex on a scale of 1 to 10 is an 8, an 8, crack cocaine is going to be about a 30. Methamphetamine is going to be about a 300. It's like a brain orgasm.
But I knew the first time I used it, it was probably the best feeling that I'd ever had in my life up till that point. It's like complete euphoria, and I didn't want that feeling to ever go away.
I just, I did everything a housewife was supposed to do. I'd come home, clean, have his dinner. He had no idea. No idea.
I just thought it made me a better person. That people were liking me better because I'd lost all the weight. I thought I was being a better wife, a better mom. I could get more things done. I could do all the things I thought everybody wanted me to do. I thought it made me superwoman.
I'm talking to this emaciated, goth-looking girl that I had known for about 2 years at the time, and she had been good, and then she'd relapsed again, and she was back in, and she was high. And she looked at me and she says, if you would just take meth for a week, you would get rid of those hips. And I just looked at her and said, so I can look like you? And she didn't get it. She totally missed the whole point.
Once I noticed, wow, I've lost 20 pounds in 1 week, that was, I think, what really kept me using it in the beginning. People were finally starting to notice me, and even my husband couldn't keep his hands off me, so I just kept doing more and more and more. I was going to look good.
You feel attractive. You feel, I don't know, like you can concentrate better, like you can do anything, you can get things done, you can multitask, and that doesn't last very long. but probably the first 6 months, that's how it felt.
And so at first, they keep a clean house, they take good care of their kids, they're doing activities with their kids, they're volunteering at school, and you're seeing a lot of middle-class women. I had a woman who was a nurse and an excellent mother deteriorate into, her child would be there crying, and all she'd be worrying about is getting the pipe lit so she could smoke some more meth.
I didn't have to think of all my abuse issues. I didn't have to think of anything that was going on in my life. I had tons of energy. I thought I could conquer the world until I became, I guess you'd say, chemically dependent on it, and I needed it to wake up in the morning. I needed it to function throughout the day. I could sleep on it, I could eat on it. I just needed it basically so that I could get up and move. Otherwise, I would go into what they call meth-induced comas, where I wouldn't wake up for days.
I did a very small line. I stayed up for 3 days. I was up. My house was so clean. It was like, whoa, yeah. And coming down, the sad thing is I never did.
You're doing so much better. God, I get all this done and stay, you're up for 14 days. But everything you do is screwed up. You don't realize that though when you're high. You get a lot of nothing done is what it happens.
I think I mainly just sat in the basement with tweezers in my hand. That's all I remember doing was, I had no fingernails and toenails when I came to the program.
You can do anything on meth for a while, a very short while, because it's highly addictive.
Like when I first met Nicole, I thought she was like one of the helpers. I didn't know she was actually like there.
Me too. And Renee, how they're like, this is the group leader. It just doesn't, like, she really didn't strike me as like a meth addict.
No.
I'm so tweaked out when I get these court papers. I think my ex-husband's playing a prank on me, so I don't go to court. That's how screwed up your thinking is. I really was that paranoid that I lost my daughter because I didn't go to court thinking this. They came and took her, could not get her back, went through hell and back. But the day they took her, what did I do? I went out and got as high as I fucking could.
And you're supposed to quit so you can get her back, but you just keep using to numb yourself.
So you don't have to feel it.
You ignore all your real obligations.
See what she's feeling right now? Meth completely wipes that out.
The drugs were what took her away. And the first thing I did when they left, we grabbed each other and went and smoked a big old bowl because it was like, oh my God, I can't handle this, I can't handle this. But one thing that took her is one thing, and I went down. I came here, nobody forced me here. I wanted it more than anything, and I've done great since I've been here.
How long have you been here?
I've been here 4 weeks.
Her last baby, her little girl, they're only a year apart. I called the state, and that's why she doesn't have her. But now she's lost this baby because I went to the state. She went back like April 29th, and within a week, they had the baby. I'm not really sure why she even came to the program. I don't even think it was really to get clean. I think it was just basically because they were homeless. They didn't know what to do. She's just not ready to quit. And right now, she's trying to numb herself from losing that baby girl. That's the reason she lost her, and that's the reason she's still using.
Drugs have devastating effects on families, not just the user, but the entire family.
I had no idea what it was. It was my daughter who introduced me to meth.
My using meth got my mom started on it. My mom had never done it before, and I gave her first line, and she hasn't been able to quit since.
So I actually got my mom started on it, and my little brother was stealing drugs from me at 9 years old. So he started using meth at 10 years old.
I've seen very good, loving, competent parents pass up their child. They just forget about their child because that's the nature of how the drug works on the brain.
So you have incredibly messy environments, you have unsanitary conditions, and kids that are not being taken care of. So I would say the effects on children are profound.
We went into one house where the sink was full of dirty dishes, so they started putting them in the bathtub and letting them pile up there. And it had been months that they've sat there. So these conditions are terrible. You look in the fridge to see, well, does the kid even have milk? And you'll find another engine part, no food. It's just nasty.
Some of the more horrible cases as far as me are the kids that talk about basically they've grown up in closets because that's where their parents would put them while they're doing inappropriate things, whether it's cooking the meth or the meth deal going down or the adults sitting around actually using the drugs. So the parents figuring that they want to be better parents and not expose their kids to this will put them in places.
I've never had a client that wasn't devastated by what they do to their children when they're clean.
I've never abused my kids sexually, physically, nothing like that, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't there for him mentally at all. Like a mother should be.
That's my biggest regret, is what I did to my son. I really hurt him. Especially, I think what hurt him the most was the lies. Mom lying to him.
See, I still have problems with 16 months and my brain still is not working right. I can't put the right words. I know them, but I can't bring them to the surface. It drives me crazy.
They're not thinking clearly for 6 months.
It takes that long for the brain to come back to have at least some semblance of normal function. Their memory will be impaired, particularly certain kinds of memories.
It's so scary how, like, you can see how much it affects their memory. Like, they can't think of words to describe what they want to talk about. It's so weird. I would hate that.
They lose their train of thought really fast, too.
I don't really know. I mean, I'm not even sure what words I'm trying to find. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
How do you think meth has changed you?
Well, I don't know.
And you have a process that we call sensitization, which means that the system response becomes greater and greater and greater as it sees the drug over and over again. So a dose that used to just be sort of rewarding and energizing now becomes psychotomimetic, and that means it induces psychosis. This person actually starts to look like a schizophrenic, and we can't distinguish the difference.
Like some girls pick. Have you seen girls who pick?
They call
yeah,
their
arms, their legs, their face. All over. I call them pickers, but yeah, they fixate. You fixate on something and you start doing it.
Well, you guys saw my friend once pluck out all her eyebrows. Just started with one or two, and then pretty soon she's coloring them in the next day because they were all gone.
They get infections all over the place. They'll get skin infections. You'll oftentimes see these people and they'll have boils or abscesses in their skin. We have what they call meth mouth, which means that the teeth start to get decayed. They have severe periodontal disease, which is damage to the tissues that support the teeth.
You've got healthy bone all the way through the mouth. This person has a full complement of 29 teeth. Same picture with the sinus above. All of the crowns of the teeth either destroyed or missing. The evidence of trying to keep those teeth with root canal treatment, but the crowns have just been dissolved. We're looking at abscesses down here where you see the shadow at the end of the tooth. Those teeth are what we call non-restorable from here back. And when she loses those teeth, she's going to lose that much bone.
Trash and everything. Not what I would check with, but I'm gonna call.
When little kids ask me about my teeth, it's like, oh, it's so embarrassing. 'Cause I love little kids, but I hate smiling in front of them.
What do you tell them?
That I just had a problem in my mouth growing up. And then I tell them, you know, that's why you have to make sure you brush your teeth every day.
Non-violent extraction.
Every single person we've talked to say that you lose everything you've ever worked for.
That's how addicting it is.
Meth takes longer to stop the initial usage than other drugs do.
I know I'm to the point I'm done. It's not an option. I have too much to live for, I have too much to lose. I'm done. But I know I'll struggle with it probably for the rest of my life.
For the longest time, I didn't think I'd ever get my spirit back or my soul, you know? I thought I was just like a lost soul just walking there. I remember one Christmas walking, after talking to my mom on the phone, walking down the street and just praying to God. I never talked to God ever before that. I have him in my life now. And this is the first time I just prayed. I said, God, just let me die. You know, it was just a lonely, lonely, lonely feeling. And I don't recommend anybody doing it. It's not worth it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's part of healing.
Yeah.
See, before I'd want to go out and get high, because I hated crying, I hated feeling, but that's okay. If I was feeling what I was feeling right now, I would go out and I would get so high right now. Before, I would get so high so I wouldn't have to feel this. And it made you emotionless. It made you, you know, you weren't happy, you weren't sad in the way I'm feeling right now, the hurt and the pain because of what I've lost. You go get high and it would just go away. That was the hardest thing for me to do, was to let myself feel the pain, because you have to feel it in order to heal.
Like, I really respect them. Like, they're people, and they, you know, like, at first I was just like, oh, I really, you know, like, I just feel really bad for them now, and it's like, they're people too, you know?
Yeah. You don't want to end up like me, without your kids, without your family trust, without your life. You can lose it all. I've seen some people lose it within 2 months.
The normal individual out there in society probably has no idea what goes on a daily basis in either their neighborhoods or communities.
My mom, she's like, what's meth? Meth, I've never heard of that.
Utah is a very naive state. Most people in Utah don't think it exists, don't think it's going to affect them. Realistically, they're at every third house, or they're at every fourth, fifth house, whatever the deal is. So people, like, in my opinion, like to close their eyes to a lot of the problem, basically.
Why is meth use such a big problem in Utah? Why are the majority of users women? What does this say about our society's value of image and perfection? I don't have all the answers, but I understand it a little bit more now. I want this film to be the example that these women never had. I want everyone to see. I want my family to see.
How did you find out?
My dad just was like, oh, I have to tell you guys something. You need to come over to the house.
No way.
And he was just on the line, and I was like, I don't know. I thought they were going to get divorced. That's all I thought he was going to tell me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so we sat down on the couch, and it was snowing outside.
Uh-huh.
And he was just like, he kept like going, like he wouldn't say it. He wouldn't actually say it. I can't remember what he was saying, but he was like, you guys has been doing some bad things, and I just found out that she's been using drugs. I was like, what is she using? And he's like, she's addicted to meth. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, I had no idea.
Wow.
Weird. And it was, yeah, I just remember looking out at the snow. Meth will affect everyone in some way, even if you don't know it yet. Some people have no idea. I had no idea. I am one of the many who has been affected by this overwhelming problem. I found out that my stepmom is addicted to meth.
I think I learned so much from this that I realized it is a huge problem, and that I should know what's going on, and I should know if she's okay and if she's still doing it, and if she's in treatment. And I don't know any of that, and it freaks me out because we haven't talked about it, so it's weird. And so he knows that she was doing that, and he dealt with it once, and I feel like that's all he wants to do, you know? And he wants to just be like, it's okay now. It's not natural to just put everything away and just not talk about it. I'm just scared to talk to him because I have no idea how he'll respond, because we've never really had to deal with anything like this. So I don't know.
I'm afraid to show this film to people and to my dad because I love and respect my family, and I don't want to do anything that will upset or embarrass them. But I think they need to hear these stories. I think we all need to hear these stories. My family doesn't really like to talk about the problem, but something I learned from these women is that you have to talk to heal. So that's what I decided to do. Hi, Dad.
Hey.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you would be willing to talk. Our conversation was personal, and I chose not to put it into the film, but the important thing is that we had it. This problem will never go away if we keep pretending it doesn't exist. Making this film was important to me. It has helped me, and I hope it will help my family. And all of you. You never know.